Does having a good PC setup matter in Valorant? Many players always want a lighter mouse or a higher hertz monitor or a better GPU, but does having good gear actually matter in Valorant? First, I'm going to talk about the PC setup and FPS, and the next part would be about accessories like mice, keyboards, etc. So I used to play on a really crappy laptop, and Valorant was definitely running okay, but it wasn't ideal. It was averaging around 50 to 60 FPS, and I still got to silver pretty easily after a few months of play. And I think it was definitely holding me back though. I upgraded to a mid-range desktop with a 144Hz monitor a couple months later. Now at first it made me feel great. I felt like I could see enemy movements way better. I felt like I could hit shots that I never could. But this really didn't last long, and soon enough I found out that I can only go up to gold. I think that having a good PC definitely helps, but not in the parts where having a bad PC is a big disadvantage. So for most gunfights, it didn't affect much of me, but in situations where you have to flick or there's someone crossing an entrance, it helps a lot more. I thought that I would see differences with how fast I could react and that I had this big advantage of speed. But even a 60 FPS screen isn't that bad for Valorant in most gunfights. If it isn't like a difference where the game is unplayable with it, like freezing or inconsistent ping, fixing that in an upgraded setup helps a lot more than just boosting your FPS. Because yes, you do feel great when you're on a smoother screen with higher FPS, but not having freezing or high ping difficulties is way better than just a boost in your FPS and smoothness. But even a 60 FPS screen isn't that bad because yes, you do feel great when playing on a smoother screen, but it's still not that big of a jump in terms of how good you are, even if it's a big FPS upgrade like from 60 to 144. When I switched to my monitor to even 240Hz, it was a smaller jump in smoothness, and my skill level didn't improve at all between 144 and 240. It just feels nice to play with. Some players might feel more confident hitting flicks or tracking with a better PC setup, and even though it does feel great to play on, for some players it doesn't help them much when there isn't a big problem from the previous setup. Now let's talk about the mouse and keyboard. Now having a $50 mouse from a known brand is probably way better than having a $10 mouse off of Amazon. That's just guaranteed, with better sensors and a lighter and better shape. I think that would improve your skill a whole lot more. I once bought a $10 mouse, and even with an EDPI of around 500, this thing wouldn't even track due to the cheap sensor. Many are just bad, especially using low sense. Many are heavy and over 100 grams or even 150 grams, when something good for Valorant would be around the 50 to 90 gram range. For a keyboard, you can basically just use anything and go with it, and it will probably be fine. You don't have to get a quote-unquote good one, because most keyboards get the job done in Valorant. It's just the feel of the keyboard that you might want to spend more money on. So overall setup does matter, and if there's a big issue that needs to be fixed, like game freezing or lag or not being able to track in normal gunfights, or a really heavy mouse, upgrading your setup or accessories can make a huge difference. Other than that, they're only to improve your skills so much. So if you're already good, a better setup can enhance that, but if you're bad due to your skill, a better setup won't make you good. Thanks for watching and have a good day.